Hey, what is happening, you Spongy Spinda? Today, we're taking a look at the new fully revealed Japanese set Paradigm Trigger and going over the most impactful, or probably will be most impactful cards in the set. Starting off with the Archeops, which has the String of Shade ability. As long as this Pokemon is in play, the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon V-Star cost colorless more. You can't apply more than one String of Shade ability at a time. So, pretty interesting attack. I don't think this will be great just because it's on a stage 1. It probably would have been maybe a little bit too powerful on a basic Pokemon, though. So it's definitely an interesting ability, definitely a potentially powerful ability if a lot of V-Star Pokemon become the norm. And there's not too many V-Maxes in the format. Being able to slow down stuff like Giratina and Arceus by a turn could potentially be pretty powerful. So definitely look out for the Archeops. I don't think it'll be great, and it doesn't stack multiple times, so you couldn't run like a 4-4 line or a 3-3 line of Archeops and set up like 2 or 3 of them to really slow some decks down. So probably not going to be great, but definitely an interesting and cool ability. And yeah, probably would have been too powerful on a basic Pokemon. Up next, we got the Rapidash with the ability Heat Boost. Once during your turn, you may discard a fire energy from your hand. If you do, until the end of your turn, attacks from your fire Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So pretty powerful ability. We've seen it before in the past on Volcanion EX, but that was only able to boost the damage of your basic fire Pokemon. So this one can boost the damage of your stage 1s and stage 2s, or like V-Star Pokemon and stuff like that. So I haven't been able to come up with too many great pairs for the Rapidash, but a super powerful ability. It is, once again, on a stage 1 Pokemon, though, which will limit it quite a bit. But I think there is some potential with the Heat Boost for sure. I need to dive a little bit deeper into what would be good to kind of pair with it as a main attacker, or a couple different main attackers, because it does work with any fire Pokemon. So you really could play quite a few different Pokemon alongside the Rapidash and yeah, boost their damage. But haven't come up with anything yet, but I think it is definitely a powerful ability. But we might never see, it's one of those abilities where it's like we might never see the right partner to actually make it good. I'm sure there's some fun or meme decks that'll work in just fine, though. Moving right along, the next one we're going to take a look at is the Luxray. It is a stage 2 Pokemon, but the basic and the stage 1 aren't going to be super relevant. The ability Explosive Power: if this Pokemon is in your hand when you are setting up to play, you may put it face down as your active Pokemon, and the attack Seeking Fangs for just 1 colorless energy does 50 damage, and you can search your deck for 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So we've seen cards like this in the past, like the Talonflame that was played in Greninja mostly. Be played. They've never been super powerful, but it's a cool card that can make some cool ideas come to life because of it. Most of the time, you'll be running this in decks that have very few, if any, other basic Pokemon, besides like one. Of course, you have to play one basic Pokemon, and then you try and set up other Pokemon through other means. I guess theoretically right now we do have the Single Strike and Rapid Strike Mustards that you could combo with this Luxray, or some kind of fossil Pokemon you could also combo with the Luxray, and it is a pretty powerful attack. 50 damage for 1 colorless energy to search your deck for any 2 trainer cards is pretty good. Of course, Marnie is still in the format, which will make this thing hard to want to play if it's being played in a lot of the popular decks, but I think there is some hope for this deck, and definitely, once again, some more fun or meme type decks. It might, just like the Talonflame kind of had its moments throughout its existence in the standard format, I could see Luxray having its moments as well, but not going to be a super popular or overly powerful card at that. Up next, we got the Regieleki V Max. Start with the V. We got the Switch Bolt, 1 lightning energy, 30 damage. Switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So a super powerful first attack here, actually. We have this also on the Zoroark V. Zoroark V does cost 0 energy to use its attack, but even for just a lightning energy, it's a pretty powerful attack if you open up your Regieleki V, especially when you go second, or when you do go second, and you don't want to leave it as your Pokemon in the active. You'd rather leave like a 1-prize Pokemon or some different 2-prize Pokemon. Being able to use that Switch Ball in the first turn going second can be a really strong move. Lightning Wall for Lightning colorless, 100 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 100 less damage from attacks. So I've theorized you could maybe play this with Memory Capsule and then use Lightning Wall, reduce the damage you take by 100, but you're only doing 100 damage, so I don't know where the deck would really go from there. Of course, that would mean you'd first have to evolve into the VMAX, and the VMAX 310 HP has the ability Transistor. The attacks of your basic Lightning Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, but it is basic Lightning Pokemon, which I don't really know what you would combo this Lecky with to really get a ton of value out of this ability while also putting a 3-prize Pokemon in play. And then Max Thunder Strike 220. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So, not a huge fan of the Regieleki. I don't think it's great. The ability is okay. It would have been a lot better if it did affect your any of your Lightning Pokemon. Unfortunately, it only affects your basic lightning Pokemon. So it doesn't seem great, and yeah, I don't think it's going to be that strong overall. Moving on to the Unknown V with the Confuse Seal. 30 damage, your opponent's active is now confused for a Psychic. And then for colors, Victory Symbol. If you only have one prize card left one prize card left when you use this attack, you win the game. So you can use Victory Symbol whenever you want, but it's not going to do anything unless you have one prize card left. And if you do, you just win the game. So pretty cool attack. I don't know any deck that would really be looking to abuse this yet, but I actually do think it probably has some viability in some decks to be able to close out games where otherwise it'd be kind of awkward to, and could combo with something like Raihan, where you could like bench the Unknown and then you play the Raihan to the Unknown, go get a double turbo, and then you'd be able to take your last prize card that way. So I definitely think the Unknown has potentially a place in the game, or in a deck, maybe like some kind of Arceus deck like that. Arceus could even set up your Unknown. Of course, it only has 180 HP, so it's pretty vulnerable to being bossed. So how good will it actually be? I don't know, but definitely a cool and interesting attack. And it does have a V-Star, Unknown V-Star. Tri-Power is the attack. For a Psychic, does 70 damage times the number of heads, and you flip 3 coins. And then it has the Star Cipher attack, V-Star attack. For colorless, once again, until this Pokemon leaves play, it gains an ability that has the effect all of your opponent's Pokemon are now weak to Psychic. So kind of similar to the Aerodactyl we got last set, where it has like a constant V-Star effect, or it gains an ability that is constantly in play. But just kind of like the problem with the Aerodactyl, probably won't be great because, I mean, your opponent, you're gonna have to put it into your active for a turn to use the attack. And if they don't KO it then when you retreat it, they're just kind of like a boss or a snipe attack away from probably KOing it. So once again, because you have to put it in your active initially to utilize it, I don't think it's going to be great. So Unknown V-Star, not great. The Unknown V might have some slight potential. Yeah, the V-Star, unfortunately, it's not it. Definitely not it. We have the Hisuian Arcanine V with the Irresistible Force ability. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a fighting energy from one of your Pokemon to this Pokemon. So really cool ability on the Arcanine V. And then for colorless, you can do 90 damage plus 30 more damage for each fighting energy attached to this Pokemon. So you need 4 energy. So they could be 4 fightings, which means you're hitting for 210 damage. There's a couple things you could probably combine this with. There's like the Zapdos in the format. When you put it from your hand, you can put 2 fighting energy on it. You can pull the fighting energy from the Zapdos over your Arcanine and get off some pretty cool turn 1 attacks. Will you be able to do enough damage past that to knock out stuff once it evolves? I don't know. That's a lot of energy to try and get on an Arcanine. Of course, we have Choice Belt and probably some other tools in there involved to help you do a little bit more damage. But there's definitely some potential here for the Arcanine, whether it be by itself or maybe in some weird deck where you get a lot of fighting energy in play. But I assume any deck built with the Arcanine V in mind trying to use it, your deck is mostly going to be built around this card. And I do think it has potential. Yeah, hitting the bigger numbers once stuff becomes V-Stars or V-Maxes, you probably want the potential to be able to one-hit KO those things, and that might be kind of tough to pull off. So it might be a little bit limited because of that factor, but definitely worth exploring. Definitely another card worth exploring when it does release. Going right along. Up next, we have the Regidrago V-Star, which seems like it might be the main card to come out of this set. At least that's what it looks like right now. I don't really see any of the other cards in the set kind of overtaking its viability. Starting with the V, we have the Heavenly Scream. For a colorless energy, discard the top 3 cards of your deck and attach all energy discarded in this way to this Pokemon. So not a great first attack, a lot of risk involved, but sometimes if you're in a rough spot, you gotta take the risk to have a chance to win it. And then for Grass Fire, you do 130. And this attack also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So not a terrible attack. Secondary attack on the V there. Snipe for 30. You never know when that's going to come up to close out an attack. And then on the V-Star, and this is actually probably how you'll be attacking with the V if you are going to, because the V-Star has an attack that allows you to, for Grass Fire, choose the attack from a Dragon-type Pokemon in your discard pile and use it as this attack, which is an extremely powerful attack because it means there's so many options potentially that you could choose from. There's a bunch of cards in the current format that this Regidrago could take advantage of, like Goodra and Giratina, to name 2 of the most recent set. But there's like a Dragonite, I believe from a couple sets ago, if not from this set, unless I missed it. Oh, it might be from this set, actually. Yeah, it's got the Energy Hurricane on the Dragonite, stage 2, but you're going to put it in the discard pile to utilize it. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So You can set up a 2-hit KO on any V-Star or V-Max while setting up your next Regidrago V-Star to attack with you know, a bunch of other different attacking options that you can have available to you. So definitely a very interesting card. Definitely, like I said, probably the card with the most potential coming out of the set. We're gonna have to wait and see how good it is. It doesn't seem that ridiculously strong at first glance, but until we actually play with stuff and really get an idea of how much versatility can come from the Dragon Dream attack, we won't know for sure. So gotta wait to see when it comes out. Definitely the highest potential card out of the set, though, I think. And then it has the ability Legacy Star. Once during your turn, you may discard the top 7 cards of your deck, which is a pretty costly cost. And then you may choose up to 2 cards from your discard pile. Any 2 cards. It doesn't have to be from the 7 that you discarded, but it is a way to help you get cards in your discard pile to give you more options to choose from. So being able to get cards, any card out of the discard pile is great, especially in the late game. You can get back stuff that you've already potentially used. You probably don't want to be like using it turn 2 too aggressively, probably, because that does lead to this kind of unfortunate discards. But if you're doing that or not doing anything for your turn as far as an attack goes, you'll probably risk the Legacy Star to try and pull off an attack for the turn. But it is a pretty costly cost for the return of any 2 cards from your discard pile. Seems pretty balanced, to be honest. But yeah, it is a pretty costly cost. Up next, we've got the Lugia V-Star with the Wind Reading attack. Discard a card from your hand if you do draw 3 cards. So pretty solid first attack here on the Lugia V. And then for 4 colorless energy, 130, you may discard any stadium card in play. And then the V-Star, of course, is the going to be the main attraction here. For colorless, you do 220 damage. Once again, you may discard a stadium in play. But the big part about the Lugia, because that is a pretty costly cost on the attack, the big part about the Lugia is the ability, which is a super powerful ability, maybe one of the most powerful abilities ever. You may use this during your turn. Choose up to 2 colorless Pokemon from your discard pile, except for Pokemon with a rule box, and put them onto your bench. So you can't get Vs or GXs or anything else with a rule box. You can get any other colorless Pokemon you want. And there's a lot of good colorless Pokemon in general, and one of the best ones is going to be coming out of this set, so we'll scroll right down to that right now. The Archeops with the Primal Turbo ability. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. And that is an insanely powerful ability, but it is on a stage 2 fossil Pokemon. But when you can just use Lugia and get it out of your discard pile after you've put it in your discard pile, all of a sudden it doesn't seem that hard to kind of set up and utilize. So I expect the Lugia deck to be a deck for sure, but how good will it be is kind of the question. Like I said, I give Regidrago probably the most potential out of this set, but I think Lugia does come right behind it. Yeah, come right behind it for sure. Got the Archeops. You could play some other colorless Pokemon in the deck, but I find it hard to come up with anything else you'd play besides just the Archeops as the card you get off your Assemble Star ability. And there's a lot of special energy in the format. We're getting a new special energy in this set as well, but you have like Capture Energy, you have Double Turbo Energy, Powerful Energy, Lucky Energy, Gift Energy. So there's a lot of good colorless special energy in the format currently to utilize with the Archeops. You could even do something like Aurora Energy and Tech Attackers as well, because Lugia might be the main way you set up the Archeops, but it doesn't have to be your only attacker in the deck. So Lugia can get your Archeops set up, but you can use Archeops' power up a bunch of different stuff with Aurora Energy. So a lot of potential things you can do with the Lugia Archeops combo. Definitely looking forward to trying that out. Moving right along, we got some tool cards or some item cards that are tool cards. Item cards, tool cards, same thing, that give Pokemon V-Star powers. And the first one is Seal Stone, and the power is put damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon V until they each have 100 HP remaining for 3 colorless energy. So it is an attack on the tool that is then on your on the Pokemon, and it does need to be attached to it does have to be attached to a V Pokemon. So it can be any V Pokemon. They don't have to be a V-Star. They don't have to have a V-Star power, and then they can now use this V-Star power, put damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon V until they have 100 HP remaining, which is definitely a very interesting one. Seems decently powerful. I'm curious to see how good it does end up being. But yeah, Star Gravity, V-Star tool seems decent. And then the next one, Seal Stone, which is everyone has been hyping up this card in Mew VMAX, of course, because Mew VMAX doesn't really have a V-Star power that they can utilize. And this one does, during your turn, you may search your deck for any one card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And it's weird because this one has been ruled, even though it is an ability, Star Alchemy ability, even though it is an ability, it's currently been ruled, as far as I know, unless it's changed, that even under Paths of the Peak, you can use this ability because the ability is on the item card attached to the Pokemon, not the actual Pokemon, which is a little bit bizarre to me. I can understand it, and it'll make things interesting for sure. Mew having a way to just be able to put a card in play before your opponent Roxanne paths you, and then go in and find an out to path sounds a little scary. That sounds really scary, but yeah, we'll see. That's how it's being ruled. Definitely a powerful card for any deck that doesn't have that plays V Pokemon that does not have a V-Star power to utilize. The Earthen Seal, a little bit more costly at the triple colorless energy, and not as consistently effective, I don't think, because if your opponent only has like one V Pokemon in play, you're still effectively two-shotting that Pokemon just by using this attack. But this V-Star power from this card, the Forest Seal, being able to search your deck for any one card, that's just like good in anything. So I definitely expect the Forest Seal to see some play. Definitely in Mew. What else? I'm not too sure, but yeah, definitely in Mew. Brandon, a new supporter card. You may play this card only if it is the last card in your hand, so that's going to be pretty tough to pull off, but it does have a pretty solid effect of draw a card for each bench Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's. If you're playing a deck that can aggressively set up bench Pokemon on your side, and your opponent's probably going to have 3 to 5 bench Pokemon themselves, you'll be drawing a decent amount of cards with this card, but it doesn't have to be the last card in your hand. I don't know how reasonable that is going to be to pull off. I don't think it's going to be that reasonable at all, to be honest. Candace, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal any number of water Pokemon and water energy cards you find there and put them into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So I could actually see this card being pretty decent in Inteleon decks, especially if they're heavily built around Inteleon. Because then the Candace becomes Drizzile or Inteleon, which becomes Shady Dealings, which becomes any item card or trainer card. But I don't know if that's ever better than just playing Irida. I'm struggling to find out. I don't know if it's ever better than just playing Irida, because Irida is a little bit more of a guarantee, not as much risk involved as the Candace. I'm not sure. Definitely potentially solid in a deck like that. I don't know what else you'd play it in besides something like that. Maybe some kind of Frostmoth deck could take advantage of Candace, but yeah, not super hype on that card. Lance, search your deck for up to 3 dragon Pokemon, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Could see this being played in Regidrago. Not too sure. Maybe it's a little bit slow as your supporter card for turn overall compared to something like a Research or even like a Marnie. Primordial Altar is the new stadium card coming down once during each player's turn. That player may look at the top card of their deck, then they may discard that card. So this stadium is really interesting. The effect is really interesting, really cool. I can't think of any deck off the top of my head that would abuse this currently, but if you just need to put a stadium card in your deck and you're always looking for ways to kind of thin out and be more aggressive at milling through your deck, I mean, this card kind of does that for you. So it's definitely an interesting card and can be abused with some things like trekking shoes, potentially, if you want to check before you use trekking shoes, or like maybe this is just good in Regi because you could like check what the top card is and then decide if you want to Regidrago now or after you play a Marnie or something. I don't know. So interesting effect on a stadium card, and any deck that's trying to turbo through their deck definitely would want to take advantage of something like this. I don't think we have a ton of decks like that currently in the format, though. The only thing I think of is Regi's, but we do also have Pokestop in the format, so this feels a little bit repetitive with Pokestop in the format, but I guess it might have its place in a deck or two. And then Regenetor you guys know what I'm trying to say. Energy. As long as whenever you play a Pokemon from your hand to evolve the Pokemon V this card is attached to, heal 100 damage from that Pokemon. So another energy card that we could possibly use in the Lugia deck, I think is going to be the best use out of something like this. We do have Wyndham Stadium as well, which effectively does the same thing, except it heals. It actually might heal 100 damage as well. I don't know if it heals all the damage or 100 damage. It's not a very good stadium card for a reason, but something like this as like a 1 of or 2 of in the Lugia deck that you can search out immediately when you need it definitely has more viability than Wyndham Stadium, I think. So this could be included in Lugia, Archeops, 1 of, maybe 2 of, depends how many situations come up when they're hitting your Lugias before they evolve, but not knocking them out. And that's going to do it for my set review of Paradigm Trigger. Most of these cards will be in our set coming out next month, Silver Tempest, but not all of them, I believe. If you guys enjoyed this video, as always, leave a comment, leave the like on the video as well. If you think I missed any cards that were worth talking about in this video, let me know in the comment section down below what I missed and what you're most excited for from Paradigm Trigger, or I should say from Silver Tempest. But we might not get everything that's in this set in Silver Tempest. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.